Welcome to another episode of the Focus and Bloom podcast. I'm your host, Yesenia, and joining me today is Angie McPherson. She is a brand photographer, and we're going to be diving in on going from a wedding photography business and building a profitable brand photography business. So stick around. This episode is brought to you by Video Marketing for Creators, my very own course where I show you how to put together a plan and a strategy that will help you share your message and give you the confidence you need to show up on video and press record. Visit focusandbloomstudios.com, learn video to get started. That's focusandbloomstudios.com/learn video. Hola creators, I'm Yesenia Bocaneira, founder of Focus and Bloom Studios. I'm a photographer turned marketing strategist who took a leap of faith, moved over 3,000 miles away from home with one camera and one heavy suitcase filled with dreams. If you're a creative soul and dream maker, this podcast is for you. Here I share actionable tips and tactics on marketing, business, and mindset to help you grow and up-level your business with purpose and lots of joy, one action item at a time. Get comfortable and let's get started. This is the Focus and Bloom podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in on the Focus and Bloom podcast, where we dive into a lot of fun conversations about business, photography, mindset. And today, joining me is Angie McPherson. She is a brand photographer, marketing strategist, and self-proclaimed hype woman. So without further ado, Angie, how are you? Welcome to the Focus and Bloom podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here talking about such a fun topic. Thank you so much for all the value that you bring. And I'm just so flattered to be talking with you today.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. I've been following you for quite some time,
Yay.
and I just love your bubbly personality and just like how excited you are when you're talking and when you're talking to on social media and in talking about building a business, a profitable business. So I'm super excited about to have you on the podcast and talking about your own experience when, going from wedding photography to building a brand photography business.
Yes. It was a fun transition. It was something I never expected, when I picked up my camera years ago. But it kind of fell into my lap and I ran with it, and it's been so much fun just working with entrepreneurs. It's just been a blast.
That's awesome. So yeah, tell me a little bit more about, for those of you who are just stumbling up on the podcast and just hearing about you. Can you tell me a little bit about you, how you got started, and when was it that you decided to go from weddings to brands?
Yeah, so I picked up my camera about 8 years ago to do wedding photography. And when you pick up your camera, you do a bunch of different things and you finally own it on that niche. So my niche for years was weddings. And then, as I quit my full-time job to pursue wedding photography full-time. I loved it, but then my family started to grow. I had a baby, and every weekend I was working 8 to 10 hours. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I kind of want my weekends back, but I still love, shooting. And in this time, I was taking a lot of branding photos of myself just to really connect with my own ideal clients. Because when you're a wedding photographer and you're in the same market as other people, everyone's sharing client work, brides and bouquets and things like that. And I'm like, always thinking about building my business. My background is in marketing with my corporate job, and my degree from college is in communication. So I was always like teaching, other wedding professionals how to build their business like I was mine. But everyone was like, I want the photos that you have in your business and my business. I want the headshots, the lifestyle photos, the behind the scenes. And I was like, light bulb, like people want, and like branding photography really wasn't like the word. It was just like,
Yes,
I need
headshots.
headshots. I need lifestyle photos. And so I was like, if I can package up something, for entrepreneurs who are looking for headshots, lifestyle photos, behind the scenes, I can kind of pivot into a different niche where there's a gap in the market because there wasn't that many people doing it. And so I really just started posting my own photos, and then really reaching out to people I wanted in my portfolio. And that's my biggest tip with just getting into this, is just like, you got to build that portfolio. Anytime you're transitioning to any niche, any business or whatever, you got to share what you want to shoot. And so that's what I did. I got people in front of my camera. I swapped with other photographers and really just started, educating people on the value of having these types of photos in your business, your website, your social media. and the DMs were blowing up. They're like, how do I book this? How do I shoot this? And I'm like, yes, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Like these are my people. You know, we walk side by side with entrepreneurs as photographers. Anybody we're working with, you know, if you're in the wedding industry, you're walking alongside florists and hair and makeup artists and venue owners, and literally people that you talk to all the time, you connect with on social media. They could be your ideal clients. Anybody that you pay for a service, someone cleaning your house, someone decorating your house, someone that, you know, does your makeup or does your nails. Like every business owner needs branding photos. So I just found that it was so much easier to connect and attract other business owners rather than, you know, brides and things like that. So it's really been a fun transition, and I just love it. It's like every day brings new possibilities, new types of people to work with. Super fun.
That's awesome. And I love that you mentioned that you started by way of you yourself doing your own photos, your own brand photos, and then people started seeing that and say, I want that. I want that photo in my
Right.
business.
Right. Because once you have like a really good, you know, a really good photo that pairs with a good caption or talks about your service, people just connect to you so much more. You know, it's great to have flat lays and stock photos and things like that in your business, but it's even better to have them customized to your brand. So, you know, your workspace and the gifts or services or products that you provide, of course, headshots of yourself, you know, pictures of you working and things like that. Those really, really draw in your ideal client, connect with your ideal client, and make it easier for those people to land in your inbox and be ready to pay you. So, you know, I was doing it in my own business and kind of experimenting, you know, how well it worked, and it worked really well. So I was happy to provide that service to potential clients.
That's awesome. And like you mentioned, a couple of years ago, the term branding photography or personal branding wasn't really like the it word.
I know.
It was just like lifestyle
Yep.
and headshots. And
Headshots.
now it's like a completely different packaging altogether branding. It's not just like looking at
Right.
front of the camera and done. No, this is like you're telling a story, and that's such a cool thing.
Exactly.
And I love that you commented that, as wedding photographers, and this is a funny fact, a lot of wedding photographers that I've come across on social media, they are pivoting from weddings to branding
Yes.
for similar reasons, or they're growing their family, or they want a little bit more of those weekends back.
Right. Some more freedom.
And yeah, and it's like very interesting. But and I love that you mentioned that even your network of vendors, florists, hairstylists, and all that stuff, they'll need
They do.
branding.
They do. And sometimes they just don't know it. And we as photographers, you know, branding photographers or people who are getting into it, it's your job to teach them that, hey, you actually could really benefit from this, you know, especially markets where this isn't a big thing. If you see the gap in the market, run to it, because you can already position yourself as the authority. And even if there, you know, are tens or hundreds of branding photographers in your market, we all have our uniqueness about us that really can attract that ideal client. So I know that people will say, oh, you know, wedding photography is so oversaturated, or senior photography or whatever. Every market eventually is going to get oversaturated. As long as you find your uniqueness and put it out there and really connect, you will always set yourself apart.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, I love this. Okay, so you talked about building earlier. You talked about building your portfolio and setting yourself apart. So, like, can you walk through us a little bit about like building your portfolio, niching down while also pitching to brands, which is like a big question. Like, okay, I get the idea of building a portfolio,
Mhm.
but the whole pitching is the question.
Right. So, you know, if you're just now getting things in your portfolio, I love alignment. So if you realize, you know, I really want to work with fitness professionals or hair and makeup artists, or if you're in a market that has a lot of like bloggers or influencers, you know, and you want to start working with those people, who can you get in front of your camera to kind of show off that kind of style? So if you want to work with, you know, hair and makeup artists, you know, do you have a hairstylist that you can, and it really comes down to, do you want to set up a styled branding shoot and offer this, you know, this stylist the photos, you know, or have them pay for the photos? Do you want to do a completely trade services and get your hair done for the next 3 months, you know, or do you want to charge them? It's really up to you, you know, at what level you are. People ask me, should I give out a free shoot? It's really up to you and your level. You can trade, like I said, you can You can have an introductory rate. You can charge full price, whatever you want to do. There's so many options, but getting that person in front of your camera, getting them the images and sharing transformation, always talking about, oh, I just, shot this yoga instructor's branding shoot. She's going to be using this on her website or social media, being a cheerleader for that person and having these things in your portfolio so that when you start to pitch or reach out to these other types of people, they're seeing that you are doing the work, you have fresh work there. It's beautiful. As far as pitching, I'm not a really big like dive in your inbox, hey, can I shoot this type of person? I'm more of a cheerleader. I want to show up, I'll find someone that I'd love to work with, follow them, like all their stuff, engage, and just be a cheerleader for their business because that's what we are as branding photographers. We are cheering them on. We are helping them build their business. So they've got stories. I'm sliding into DMs and talking about the stories. I'm not selling myself. I am just becoming a true ally and cheerleader for the business. So when they come over and see my stuff, it's like, boom, branding photos of me, branding photos of people in similar types of industry as them, education about branding. And so most of the time there's a connection, they know who I am, they know what I do. And it doesn't have to be, will you hire me for a shoot? It's just like we've created that connection so that the next time they're looking for photos, I'm the first and only person they are thinking about working with. And now if you want to do more of a pitch to build your portfolio, you can absolutely say that. Say, hey, I am a budding branding photographer. Here's an example of my work. I've, done photography with different niches and I'm transitioning. I would really love to work with you and build up a relationship. And you can work out the terms yourself. It could totally be a pitch to, like I said, trade, send them, say, we can take the photos. I'll give you, 10 images included. And if you want to buy the full gallery for hundreds of dollars, you can always upsell. Anytime you're doing a session, you can always say, hey, I want to gift you 5 photos, gift you 10 photos, and then put like 50 or 100 photos in there and upsell that baby like crazy.
Yes.
Because it's a no-brainer. It's like, oh my gosh,
Cha-ching.
I can get 5 photos or I can get this full gallery where I had my hair and makeup done. I had all these types of photos. There's so many ways. So if you're looking to do it that way, that's an option as well. There's so many options.
I love that you mentioned there's a key thing to what you just mentioned, and it's building relationships. And it's not necessarily going straight into like, hey, I want to buy, can you hire me for this? This is my work, which is totally, valid if that's what you want to do.
Right.
But, people buy from people. And with, we've mentioned this, the market is saturated on everything.
Yes.
Everything's saturated.
Yes.
So everything is saturated. But the thing is, you want to build connections, and then that's where you start building that know, like, and trust when you're building these authentic connections. And then, when they're finding themselves looking or needing some photography, hey, Angie is at the top of their mind.
Right. I've connected with people and a week later they've landed in my inbox, or 6 months later they've landed in my inbox. It's like you establish that connection and don't just like establish it and run away. Like you might be playing the long game. If this is somebody you truly want to work with, then I always say get on people's email list. If you're wanting to work with someone and they have a freebie or some valuable opt-in, get on their list and just see in the emails what they're talking about, what they're doing, like really get to know their business, reply to their emails. These are human beings that are in their email platform and sending out an email. There's nothing more I love than after sending an email, somebody replying and be like, hey, this was helpful, or this is the takeaway, or can you expound upon this? And I love that. I always remember those people because it's like, thank you for not only reading, but taking the time to respond. So I know that the value is reaching someone because I just want to help one person. If I'm shooting, if I'm posting on social media, if I'm sending an email, if I'm writing a blog post, I'm writing to one person. So if I just get one person to say this was helpful, it's so nice. It's so nice.
Yes, absolutely. You need to connect to that one person. You need to speak to them, and that's how you make those really true connections. I love it. So part of branding photography, when you pair up with when you do some partnerships with brands, it's not necessarily always just person type of imagery, but some of these entrepreneurs, they create products and you may want to have or may need like a mix of both, or maybe just it's just products. So how what are any ideas on like best practices if you want to add product photography as part of your branding packages?
Mhm. Definitely, once again, sharing what you shoot. So, product photography fell into my lap right at the start of the pandemic. Honestly, I was doing branding, and if people had products in their business, of course, at the shoot, I was shooting the products. But everyone was shutting down. Everyone was, just kind of like closing, to the outside world, but they still wanted to show up on social media. So, I had a couple of people reach out and say, "Hey, can I just send you some stuff to your home and you can shoot it? Do you do product photography?" And I was like, sure. Okay. I bought some equipment. I bought some, lighting, some backdrops and things like that. And they shipped me their stuff. And they sent a shipping label if I needed to send anything back. So I was kind of like working out like the terms and things. It was just kind of brand new, that placed in my lap. Now I do it all the time. But once again, with like pivoting into a niche, it's like you got to share not only the photos but the journey. So as soon as they sent me their stuff, I pulled out my phone and I was like, I don't know where this is going to go. I just need to get the B-roll. And so I'm like panning my phone around my new backdrop, around my rearranged office, around the products. And a couple days later, I made like an IGTV, like I uploaded it to YouTube. I'm like, hey, I'm shooting products and this is who I'm working with. And they are selling these products on Amazon. So they need to have vertical and horizontal and white space. And then I would take my phone and put it over the computer. I'm like, this is their Amazon page. This is my photo on their Amazon account, and just showing the transformation and sharing that. And now, after that, DMs are blowing up. Can you shoot my products? Can you shoot my, I was like, whoa, okay, now I'm a product photographer, a branding, okay, great. So sometimes the opportunity is literally like right in front of you. And I honestly, when this first person reached out, I honestly almost said no, because I was like, I don't have a space, even though I have an office that can just be cleared out with window light. I think I started typing like, hey, let me refer you. And I was like, backspace, hold on. How can I hold on to this opportunity? And I just dove into it. And so biggest thing for products, like I said, even if you don't have, it's easier with products because you can use your own. You don't have to go out and find anybody yet. Literally go around your house, you're an entrepreneur, you have your own products. We have a camera, we have a laptop, we have, equipment and things like that. Like take some flat lays, take things off your shelves. I have like a style shelf over here in the corner that I'll take some photos of and just share it, just like getting those things into your feed, into your portfolio and your website, even if it's just things around the house. Get something from your mom's house, your sister's house, shoot different locations. I used to go to like a co-working space and take a picture of like a little corner and like put it in my feed. So, before you even have to kind of build your portfolio with somebody else, like what can you be grabbing around your house and styling and practicing? It definitely takes practice because, if you're shooting in your home, you've got to find where the light is. For example, this room in 3 hours is going to be much darker. So I know that anytime I shoot products, it's got to be the beginning of the day if I don't want to pull out a bunch of flashes and things like that. So just learning your environment. And like I said, just building your portfolio by any means necessary.
Awesome. I love it. Just, go around your house,
Yeah.
pick something and then
Yeah.
start with that. I mean, we already have a bunch of products in our own homes.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So, um, let's talk about scaling
Okay.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So, how are ways in which you can scale as a brand photographer and have clients on retainer, which is something that's also very common. Just not just having clients that would just meet you for that one shoot, but then having clients that are returning clients that are on retainer, and then that also helps you scale your business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would say incentivize your package that will have people coming back. So for me, I have, you can book just one package with me just to work with me one time, but I also have working with me twice in a calendar year and working with me 4 times in a calendar year. Of course, the 4 time in a calendar year is the big high ticket price, but adding incentives, it just makes it a no-brainer. The first incentive is, hey, I'm a busy photographer. If you want to work with me 4 times a year, let's get those dates booked for the 4 times. Now, if you want to book me in January for Q1, 2, 3, and 4, let's get those dates booked, because if you love your photos and you come back in 3 months and say, hey, can we shoot for Q2? I'm already booked for Q2. So let's get in those dates. And then think about things in your, like we'll talk about uniqueness again, things in your uniqueness where you can add value. So for me, I have a marketing and PR background. So I can be adding strategy calls to these 4 times a year sessions. I can be adding, social media help. I can be adding things like that. So I always tell people, like, what do you offer? I know other photographers who are great at graphics. I have, branding photographer friends who are awesome in Canva, and they can whip up some reel covers and social media covers and Pinterest covers. What can you add to those bigger packages that is super simple for you, even if you have a template where you're just swapping in their photos? If you have like a template, like, now that we work together, here's how you can use these photos, headshots, and then pre-written template right there, and pull in that person's headshot. So it feels like a very personal thing for them. I just have so many photographer friends who I've worked with, who I've mentored. They've just taken off on these ideas of how to incentivize working with people quarterly. And once you do that, I even send a gift to my quarterly clients that I don't send to my one-off clients because they're paying more. So it's like a gift box with, an entrepreneur magazine, some branding cookies with my logo on it that are good for Instagram, a bath bomb, very good, really personal package. And anytime I have a quarterly client, I'll say, oh, I'm sending this out. And then my one-off client's like, oh, I didn't get that. I'm like, oh, they're for my retainer clients. You want to work with me more? I'd be happy to send you a contract and send you this little gift basket, if it means that much to you. So just incentivize working together. And then, of course, the more you work, the biggest incentive, the more you work with this client, the better each session will be. You're going to get to know them. You're going to get to know their brand back and forth. And plus, it makes them think like, hey, let's work together 4 times a year, because what launches or what offers do you have in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4? You're pushing these people and saying, hey, don't just think about the next 3 months. What's your year look like? Let's make sure that we are getting you updated branding photos for this new, service you're offering in Q2, for this new podcast you're offering in Q4. You've got a winter giveaway. Let's start planning that. So if you want to scale, I would say get your prices raised to a really good rate for that quarterly package, and you could be shooting less people, for more money, and having that really close personal experience with those people.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned earlier, like finding your uniqueness and how that can help add value. And you talked about graphics and you talk about social media strategy, but this is sort of like a great segue towards my next question. By now, you've heard that video is a key tool to help connect, grow, and scale your business. If you're unsure of where to start, you'll want to check out Video Marketing for Creators. In this course, you'll learn the technical side of how to produce professional-looking videos with minimal gear, while learning how to put together a plan and a strategy that will help you share your message and give you the confidence you need to show up on video and press record. Visit focusandbloomstudios.com/learnvideo to get started. That's focusandbloomstudios.com/learnvideo. Now let's get back to the show. Because recently Instagram CEO announced that Instagram is shifting towards a more video platform. It is no longer a photo sharing app.
Crazy.
And then the internet just broke. At least for photographers.
Yeah. We're like, what?
What?
This is not a part of the original plan.
Exactly. What happened? So how, as a brand photographer yourself, so how do you feel about video, and like have any of your clients requested video from you? Like, what are your thoughts on photographers trying to pivot into branding and the idea of adding video as part of their services?
So I am not a video specialist, and I have no plans to do it yet, but I have had maybe 1, 2, or 3 people ask, and I say that's not my specialty. But I've had so many people say they were interested in doing it, and I say kudos to you. Same thing as pivoting, same thing as building something new. Get good at it, build that portfolio. If you have, we all have the equipment, we all have a nice camera. Nowadays, you can do anything on your phone. If you are at a shoot with, your client, and you're like, hey, I'd love to just take a little bit of video and gift this to you. I'm trying to build up my video portfolio. And like I said, just build that portfolio, and you'll get better and better, better and better. Pull it into your editing software or whatever, and start putting it out on social media. And just building that up. Like, kudos to anyone who can provide, like I said, that extra value to their clients. That could be something on a top package, or something that's, a la carte that they can book. just get better and better and build that portfolio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's the thing is, you could probably be the person that takes the video, or, and then you can subcontract somebody who can edit
Yes.
them, or
Yes.
maybe you can subcontract the whole service altogether. I mean, just think
Absolutely.
about it as wedding photographers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of couples, they often ask photographers, hey, do you do video as
Right.
well?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we say no, we don't, and sometimes we say yes, it's part of, we have a package, or
Right.
maybe like you subcontract somebody else. So think about it the same way. Like you
Yeah.
could either make it as part of your own business's package, or
Mm-hmm.
subcontract it, or however. So there's definitely an opportunity for
Yes.
that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, if they're just looking for, like B-roll, like you said, you could just have somebody come and hold, a camera. It doesn't even have, it could be someone on your team. It could be, you outsourcing it to a specialist, but just, someone who might need B-roll of whatever they're doing. So if you're taking photos of somebody, say if there's like a jewelry designer and she's putting pieces together, you're going to be taking photos. This person can be off to the side doing a quick B-roll that's not really distracting to anybody. Like you said, there's so many ways to outsource this and still make it a good value in your package.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it has to be something that you want to do. Don't force yourself to do it because you're going to
Right.
hate it.
Right. And that's why I won't do it. I'm like, I'm going to stick with what I know for now, but I see so many people saying, oh, I want to add this. And I get excited for them because I'm like, the fact that you want to do this and that you see that gap, go and do it and be awesome at it. Kudos to them.
Yep, absolutely. And
Yeah.
just do whatever you feel that you are going to enjoy
Right.
doing,
Right.
whatever that is.
Yeah.
All right. So aside from being a brand photographer,
Mm-hmm.
you also teach other photographers on branding. So can you tell me a little bit about mastering personal brand photography?
Yes, it is my 6-week online program, and I teach photographers how to grow their branding photography business, how to book their dream clients, and also how to produce photo shoots that deliver on their client's vision. Because when I started doing this, a lot of photographers said, how did you get into it? I don't know where to start. I want to pivot. How do you book these clients? How do you shoot it? How do you plan? So we go through a bunch of different things. We go through, of course, like you have to be able to build your own powerful personal brand first. Because if you're teaching people how to use these photos and how to, be a brand, like you've got to be doing the work. Like I said, I did a lot of the self work myself before I started shooting other people. I started building my brand, getting myself out there. And then we talk about in the program pricing and packaging, onboarding clients. There's a behind the scenes video of me shooting, like a raw and real behind the scenes video of me shooting a full branding session from start to finish, from picking locations to lighting and what equipment I use. And then you'll see the full gallery. And then also marketing, which is a big thing, really getting those people in your inbox and, a whole launch strategy. So I love it. I've been launching the course twice a year for about 3 years now. So just seeing the growth from people who first started and seeing people who are working with me now, like I just love it. And it's like there's no, like everyone's just so different. Everyone has their own uniqueness. So seeing, like I said, seeing the value that different people put in their packages, and no two businesses are the same. No two branding photographers are the same. We're in different markets, different experiences. So it's really been fun. I love working with everybody, and I pretty much like shut everything off during those 6 weeks. Like I'm just like fully immersed in the group. We've got a Facebook group, so it's super fun.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
And where can people check out that course? Where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so my website's just angiemcpherson.com. So you can sign up for the wait list there for my branding photography course. Like I said, I launch 2 times a year, usually in January and then sometime in the summertime. And I even have a checklist. People are interested in just like what kind of photos should fall under branding photography, something they can kind of like bring to a future shoot. I have a checklist. It's angiemcpherson.com/checklist. It's my personal branding photography checklist, ton of ideas for branding photos. So like we discussed, headshots, lifestyle, workspace, things like that. So you'll never run out of ideas.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. Angie, thank you so very much for being a part of the podcast. This is such a really packed informational episode. I love
Yeah,
it.
this was
Thank
fun. Thank you for having
you.
me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll be sharing. So if you're listening or if you're watching on YouTube, I'll be putting all these links on today's show notes. You can find them at focusandbloomstudios.com/show notes, and you'll get all the juicy details from today's episode. Again, Angie, thank you so very much. And to all of you tuning in, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe either on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. Take care. Until next time. Thanks for tuning in on another episode of the Focus and Bloom podcast. Be sure to leave us a review on iTunes so that we can continue creating more content like this. And go ahead and visit today's show notes at focusandbloomstudios.com/show notes.